Did he, at any point in time, did he look like he was slowing down?
No, but you know and I know he was on an MVP pace.
Yes.
And I know what would have happened. He would have just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it all the way home. And if they had completed an 82-game season, you would have been, I'm going to knock on wood, I don't even like to bring this up, but you would have been in grave jeopardy of him pulling something somehow, getting hurt, being hobbled, going into the playoffs limpy or gimpy. You know it and I know it. He got almost 5 months to get his body right. And we all know LeBron is great at getting his body right. So he went to the bubble not only right physically, but he was right mentally because nobody embraced the bubble better than LeBron did. He turned into the ultimate bubble leader.
But Skip, hold on. I'm just trying to figure this out now. You have told us, and you've been saying this for the last probably 6 or 7 years, that LeBron James is the most mentally weak superstar that we've ever seen.
In the clutch, yeah. And you know why? You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because there was one bubble game that was a turning point game. You got the break of your life, Mr. James, GOAT James. Remember what happened at the end of Game 2 against the Nuggets in the conference finals? Do you remember this game?
Yeah, I remember we won.
Yeah, I remember that the reason you won was that GOAT James got the play called for him. Remember that? And Rondo said, I locked eyes with LeBron, and he did not move. You know why he didn't move? Because he was 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter, 0 for 3 from 3, and 0 for 1 from the free throw line. So he did not move, and he got saved by an Anthony Davis who looped all the way across the top of the formation, all the way across the top. And I don't know what Plumlee was doing. He goes over like LeBron's going to do something.
He worried about that. Yeah. He worried about what you seem to be unconcerned about.
Go the James. Play according.
I'd rather listen to a fucking podcast about nothing than listen to Skip talk about anything. He's just become shit ever since he's not with Stephen A. At least with Stephen A, they kind of balanced each other. Now they both just kind of shit on the other people across from him.
For our local environment.
I can't remember who said it, but there's a famous quote that nothing useless can ever truly be beautiful.
Oh, interesting.
And I found that is one of the truest things ever said.
Nothing
useless can ever truly be beautiful.
Well, is it useless if it's beautiful?
It just means that usefulness, like the ability for something to have a purpose is an important part of its existence.
Okay.
And so just beauty alone doesn't justify the existence.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought it was saying, but something felt like a double negative in there that kind of broke my brain a little bit.
You overthought it.
So, B-Bomb, the D victory, which was Miles Davis' nickname for a little while.
When he was dribbling holes in bathroom walls.
The cardinal flower, the columbine, and the coral honeysuckle are all very hummingbird-friendly flowers and plants that you can put in your yard. And I said that to Emily, and I think we have a couple of these. We used to have columbine and dome. She's going to bring that back, and we're going to see if we can get some more hummingbird action in her backyard.
That's awesome. Some hot, sticky hummingbird action.
4 seconds of pleasure.
So you can also just go get yourself a hummingbird feeder.
Yeah.
And a lot of people put red food dye in there, and that is actually a controversial move. There's some concern among hummingbird enthusiasts that the dye actually can be harmful over long periods of time. Maybe it can build up, because again, hummingbirds have very tiny organs because they're a very tiny bird, so introducing this artificial red dye might not be the best idea. Other people say that's totally unsubstantiated, there's never been any proof that it actually harms hummingbirds, and then the other people say back, it's totally unnecessary, the bird's going to find the sugar water either way, so why add the red dye just in case it is harmful, if it's just unnecessary. So most hummingbird enthusiasts say, don't put red dye in your hummingbird sugar.
Yes, and that solution mixture is important. You can't don't just dump a bunch of syrup and water together or a bunch of sugar cane or whatever. It is 4 parts water to 1 part sugar because they need a
Schroeder, fuck, dude, ignored my ass.
And 4 to 1 makes about 25%, if my math is correct.
It does. It's close enough. So one of the other ways you can help hummingbirds too is in the most delicious way by choosing coffee that is grown in a situation that allows hummingbirds to thrive.
Yeah, I didn't know about this. This is really cool. There's
It's interesting that STEM-wise, you know,
about the Andes
the
and
76ers with their complete
travel great
roster
distances
in the
and elevations
finals.
up and down these mountains. And coffee is grown about halfway up these tropical
Fucking
mountains.
Danny Green's like the
And they
luckiest
have a
son
lot
bitch
of
ever
great,
if that happens.
flowers under the shady canopy there, and it's a really nice home for hummingbirds there. And if you drink bird-friendly coffee, that means that they have these flowers and they're making sure they take care of these flowers.
Right, and it's grown in a kind of like a simulated forest, as close to simulated as possible. So you want to look for something that says it's bird-friendly, Rainforest Alliance, and or shade grown, and that probably means that hummingbirds are thriving on those coffee.
Slightly late.
Yes. And I went and looked. My beloved Backdoor from Bronson coffees are all bird-friendly and shade grown.
Is that what you use?
Oh yeah.
Yes, in here.
I'm crazy for that stuff. I've got a great blend for you. Trader Joe's decaf beans, half, and the other half, Backdoor from Bronson.
Whoa, I slid.
It's
That's
the
weird.
most amazing combination ever.
Let's give that a shot. I'm not drinking coffee now because of it's not winter. But Emily still has her latte every morning, and she just has their espresso beans.
Coffee is a 365-day-a-year activity.
No, not for me, but I get it.
That's okay. I'm not going to yum your yuck.
Very well done.
So that's it for hummingbirds, right?
That's it.
Well, if you want to know more about hummingbirds, get one to land in your hand and study it up close and personal. But don't mess with it because it's protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918 in the United States, and you could land in jail and pay up to a $200,000 fine for harm.
Good.
And since I said $200,000 fine, everybody, that means, of course, it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to talk about the exploding birthmark. Hey guys, big fan of the show, which I listen to while I'm cooking breakfast and laundry and staring. Oh boy, get this! And staring at 100,000 row Excel spreadsheets.
My soul just shivered.
I know. I recently listened to that episode on birthmarks and thought you'd like to hear the story of my birthmark that exploded. I was born with 2 birthmarks, both of which have since been removed. One of those birthmarks was dark brownish, red, and a circle on the inside of my right thigh. I didn't think much of it, so it wasn't very visible. And like you said on the show, lots of people have birthmarks. However, when I was in the 3rd grade, my family and I were about to leave for my aunt's house to celebrate Thanksgiving, and I realized my pants kept sticking to my leg.
Oh, man.
I went to the bathroom and removed my pants, and I saw blood running down my leg. As a 3rd grader who had not yet even learned about menstruation, I assumed I was dying, so I freaked out. It turns out my birthmark was the result of a vascular malformation the size of a small bouncy ball in my inner thigh.
Oh, my gosh.
The tangled up ball of veins had ruptured that Thanksgiving morning, and I had to go to the ER where they stuck a tiny piece of foam on my leg. Probably charged us about $2,000 because hospitals. A few months later, I had it surgically removed and now have a 3-inch long scar instead of a birthmark. But because of my surgery, I wasn't allowed to run for a few weeks, and I got out of running the mile. So who's the winner now?
Lucky.
Thanks for helping me seem really knowledgeable on very specific topics, and that is from Bailey.
Nice, Bailey. That was a great story.
Pretty good.
Bailey left out that, ironically, both the birthmark and the scar were in the shape of a skull.
And by the way, Bailey says in the PS that the other birthmark was hemangioma on the bottom lip that was removed. So, man, that's interesting stuff.
Yeah, very interesting. What was the fact that I kept saying over and over again about hemangiomas? That they're a tangled cluster of blood vessels?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So maybe they were 2 of the same kind of birthmark.
Maybe so.
Well, thanks a lot, Bailey. And if you want to get in touch with us like Bailey did and share an amazing story, we're always up for those. You can get in touch with us via email these days at stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Are you ready for the holidays? Because FedEx has been training for months. This year, it's expected that a record number of packages will be shipped. Let's put it this way. It's going to be a shipping marathon. So much so that FedEx is calling it the Shipathon. Because the obstacles this year are bigger than ever, FedEx is preparing harder than ever. So make sure you shop and ship early this season. Visit FedEx.com/holiday guide to learn more.
Nearly 600 years after the invention of the printing press, the most important book in the history of the world has arrived.
That might be overstated.
Interesting.
Commencement speeches for the class of 2020 is production.
Because this is still your day. Here, I've come to fill you in on a little secret. You've been told for practically your whole life now how special you are, how how singularly important you are, how packed with uniqueness you are. And that is true. You are special and unique, and you are important. But your parents and teachers haven't been telling you the whole truth all of your life. They've only been showing you a part of the bigger picture. Surely you've noticed hints of this throughout the time that you were in school. Like when you got older, and suddenly the stories in history class began to get a lot darker. They told you all those same stories when you were younger. They just arranged the picture without all of the pieces to keep you from truly understanding. And perhaps you resented it when you realized the whole truth had been kept from you. That's understandable. Most of us do feel that way. But don't waste your time stewing on this. Each generation does it to the next. They think it protects the young, but really, it just keeps things as they are. The important thing here is to learn from that experience, because people are going to continue to do this to you your whole life. People will try to lay out the pieces of the truth that fit together to make the picture they want you to see. It's a way to get people to do what you want them to. And throughout your life, you will get this from all sorts of people. People you're friends with, people you love, people on television, people on the internet, people running your government, people running other people's governments. Your actions and your thoughts are powerful and influential, and people want to sway them. This means that you will have to learn to think for yourself. Do your own research. Seek out people who are experts on the topic. Talk to other people. In this day and age, it's not enough to trust your eyes or your ears. You have to put in work to find the truth. Don't be lazy. Find the truth. It's not necessarily what's on the news. It's also not necessarily what's in some video that says the news is lying. Always remember this. Whatever someone is showing you, they're probably only showing you part of the picture. It's up to you to fill in the rest of the pieces that make up the whole truth. And maybe you'll never find it. That's okay. It would be exhausting to spend your life constantly searching for the truth, constantly paranoid that every person you speak to is manipulating you. Don't do that. That's not what life is about. And people aren't that mean at their core. Most people don't even realize they're showing you an incomplete picture. And usually they're not doing it for nefarious purposes when they do. Instead, the vast majority of people are just passing along an incomplete picture that someone else showed them. This happens a lot. It's a big problem. So to keep from dying of exhaustion by age 30, all haggard and paranoid and upset, do two things. One, decide if something is important enough to you or the world to search out the missing pieces to find the truth of the matter. Sometimes all it takes is an effective Google search and taking the time to read a couple of reliable articles. But remember that even if you do search high and low, you may never find the truth about whatever it is you're trying to understand. So it better be important if you're going to go looking for the truth of the matter. And two, if it's not important, shrug it off. You will never know everything. You'll never know most things. Some things will be important enough for you to search for. Most will not be. But if you decide it's not that important, then this is really important. Don't pass along the incomplete picture to others. When you do that, you are shaping someone else's view of things. They trust you. They know you're a good person with the good of the world at heart. So why would you lie? Throughout your life, people will listen to what comes out of your mouth. So be careful that you believe in what you say. But back to what I was saying before about your parents and teachers giving you an incomplete picture. I hope you understand a little better now that they don't mean any harm by it. They might think they were protecting you all these years by keeping ugly truths from you. But those ugly truths, hard as they can be to take, are what allow us to grow as people. If you see a beautiful flower, you admire it and are glad that it's there. If you see a weed growing up, you pull it. But if the people around you are telling you that the weed you're seeing is actually a flower, it's hard to know otherwise. And it's even harder to know that the weed should be pulled. Remember that your parents and your teachers weren't lying to you because they wanted to deceive you. Their parents and their teachers showed them pictures of weeds that grow in our world and told them that they were flowers too. And their parents' parents and their teachers' teachers told them. Some weeds have been called flowers for so long that no matter what you say to some people, they will fight you tooth and nail that the weed is a flower. That's their truth, and people are deeply protective of what they hold to be true, even when it's not true at all. Part of the reason they'll fight and argue with you when you tell them a flower is actually a weed is just simple laziness. It takes a lot more effort to pull a weed than it does to pretend it's a flower. But the bigger reason they'll argue is because they don't want to believe they've been wrong all this time. The thing is, no matter how long everyone's called a weed a flower, there are some aspects to a weed that a flower doesn't have that will always give a weed away.
I like it in the corner, though.
If something that
Looking
people
pretty solid.
say is a flower harms other people, it's really a weed. Weeds can hurt people in all kinds of ways. Maybe they give rights to some people, but not to others. Maybe they make it so some people have more wealth and power than they could ever possibly use, while other people have so little they can't barely scrape by. Other weeds make it so that when some people hurt other people, or other life, or the planet, they don't get in trouble for it. If you suspect a flower is really a weed, you look at it closely enough,
Ooh, that
you'll
felt
see that the
real
people who say
good.
it's a flower are the ones who get all
I guess
the
it was
benefits.
off dribble, but still.
And you'll also find there's a whole other group of people out there who've been calling it a weed all this time. It's just that nobody's listened to them. And sometimes it's even worse than that. Sometimes those people are told that their own flowers are weeds. So what does all of this have to do with you being special and unique? Excellent question. And actually, that's the whole point of everything. It's not a lie that you are special and unique. You are both of those things. But not simply because you're you, as you've been led to believe all these years. That's an incomplete picture of the whole truth. You are special
Bang.
and unique because you were born a human being.
Smooth. Catch and
All
shoot in the
human
corner.
beings are special and unique.
Smooth.
Not just as individuals, but the whole human race. Every one of us is special. Every one of us is unique. And the same goes not just for human beings, but for all living things. Life is special. And in this way, every single person that you will ever meet in your entire life is as valuable and worthwhile as you are.
Part of it too.
Some of these other people you'll meet will disagree with you, and some of them may harm you. Just because a person is unique and special doesn't mean that they're good. But as hard as it can be to remember sometimes, never forget that on the whole, human beings are generally good.
Late? Okay.
They generally care about each other. They generally want what's best and most just. Don't forget that humanity is generally good. It's just that sometimes other people don't recognize a flower is really a weed.
Slightly late again then?
You can find this episode is brought to you by Traffic with Mickens with Watson.
It's us. We've lost Jerry.
I'm in the studio, like I was in the last one, but it's still a ghost studio if there's no one here.
Sure. Except for Tommy Chong and the radio, or the record player, right?
Sure.
Good.
Did I get that joke?
We said that we have somebody poised to like scratch the needle off the record several episodes ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that it was Tommy Chong who
That's
job
right.
it was to do that.
That's right. Good callback.
Thank you.
Should we talk bras?
Yeah, we're talking bras, man. Which I appreciate it when we do stuff like this, episodes like this, because we have to try harder because we're men. You know?
Sure.
The usual.
It's the only time we have to try harder in life.
Sadly, it's kind of true. But we haven't shied away from topics that have very little to do with us, like corsets. We did one on how corsets work.
Goodness.
Do you remember that? Totally did a whole episode on corsets.
Jeez.
We did one on female puberty.
Yeah. Foot binding?
Yeah, we've done a lot of them. So this is just
Just 3.
one and the same. The 3 is a lot when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. And we did mention doing one on menstruation not too long ago, and we got a bunch of supportive emails saying, like, yes, guys, please do that. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Listen, I've been menstruating for 50 years and I still don't understand. Please explain.
Yeah, exactly.
So actually, we have not gotten that email. Although we wouldn't know if we had. You know?
Yeah, because our email server's down. Sorry if you've been bounced, everyone.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yep.
So we're talking bras, which is short for brassiere, which doesn't have a definite origin as far as we know. We think that it came about in the 20th century, early 20th century.
Ooh, late.
I think it first appeared in print.
Early? See, I'm still having
And that
problems
in
on
French,
some of
it means
the...
one of two things. It means either arm
Dang.
covering, which is, I think, derived from like
It's just
medieval
repetition,
armor,
though.
French medieval armor.
I feel like I get the hang of
The other
it.
thing I saw
I feel like
was
it's a good
child's
shot.
vest,
Maybe
which
I
that to
shouldn't
me
be
is
doing
just
mixes
lovely. If
technically,
that's what they're
but
trying to say
I think
with
it'd be
bra,
fine.
that it's like a child-sized vest that you wear around over your breasts. I love that idea.
You want to know something funny? For the first 10 minutes researching this is put together by our pal Dave Ruse. I kept thinking, why does he keep talking about brasseries? Why does he keep talking about
That's funny.
quaint little French restaurants?
That's funny.
It's very close. It looks like brassiere.
It does. Well, yeah. Yeah, it does. I think if that I was just a little further toward the end, we would be talking about casual French restaurants. The TGI Fridays of France. Well, that's better than my experience. For the first 30 minutes, I was researching nothing but car bras.
Oh, God. The Le Bras, remember those?
No.
That was sort of one of
car.
I think there was a Le Bras, which was one of the big popular models at the time for, like, Porsches and stuff like that.
I don't remember that at all.
You know, my dad very stupidly bought a Porsche when I was in high school.
Oh, no, with that food truck money?
With that big public school teacher money. he went out and bought a Porsche.
Wow.
And surprised my mom and the rest of the family with a sweet Porsche 911
Like a new one?
that no one was allowed to, like, breathe on. No, it wasn't new.
Doesn't matter.
But he very quickly went out and this is very my dad. like the next week he had like the Porsche Izod, the Porsche glasses, the Porsche hat, and we didn't have that for very long. I think I drove it one time like around the block, and he was like, and they were not fun cars to drive. They were very difficult to drive.
Yeah, they're all about being as one with the road, and if the road's not so great, then it's not very fun.
Yeah, but I will say, piggybacking on that story, I've been watching the TV show Red Oaks. Have you ever seen it?
I have never even heard of it.
I hadn't either. It was an Amazon show that ran for 3 seasons about sort of like Caddyshacky. It's a kid who works at a tennis club in the 80s, and a very, very 80s show, and the drug dealer drives this really sweet Porsche 928. Mm-hmm. Remember those?
Is it the pointy one? It looks kind of like a Lotus Esprit?
Yeah, well, it's the risky business car.
Okay, I never saw the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dude, you need to see Risky Business. Great movie.
I've got a list going.
It's really good. It's really good. But anyway, the 920, like the 911 gets all the headlines, but that 928 was so sweet. And I was like, man, I wonder what you could get an 80s 928 for. I bet it's not that much.
Oh,
and I looked it up.
How much?
Well, there was a range. Like, you can get one that's in not great shape for like $12,000, or up to $60,000 for a cherry low mileage.
Right. I think that's pretty much the same with all vintage cars. I was looking at Pinto station wagons.
And we're different ends of the spectrum.
There's about 4 or 5 mid-condition Pinto station wagons in existence that are really expensive. The rest are exactly what you would expect.
Funny.
So we're talking bras today, obviously. We just wanted to get rid of anybody who might benefit from listening to this. So we talked about Porsches instead.
Yeah, so the bras, the modern bra has only been around for about 150 years, and Dave makes a really good point of the fact that this thing that's only been around for 150 years
I hate that.
has been one of the most
That's
complicated
great right there. Like, that feels great,
Not
that point.
necessarily in its design or manufacture, but in its relation to society as a whole.
Yeah, totally.
So you've got apparently a complete and utter lack of bras, but as women started to play sports a little more, it was okay for them to wear bras, I think, in the 20th century. And in fact, there was a woman who invented the sports bra. 2 women, actually. I think in 1967, they invented what was called the jog bra, or 2 jock straps that they put together. But it's kind of a funny, cute little origin story. But they ended up like revolutionizing sports. Like, women were allowed to play sports. I think Title IX had been passed a couple years before this. But the fact is, you couldn't play sports because there wasn't much support out there for you. So to invent the sports bra was tantamount to introducing women in practice into sports. It's pretty huge.
Yeah, it is. And the history of the bra also incorporates fashion. It incorporates societal norms and how they changed. So did the bra. How women changed over the years and their own rights over their own comfort and their own fashion.
Right.
Taking that back. And it really kind of everything in between. The bra is a very complicated garment. And
Granted, I'm really tired right now, but still.
It's very complicated. What I was starting to see, though, is that today, apparently, and for the last several years,
I wish I could fall in love with this bass.
It's all about comfort and realness and finding, like, a bra that fits. And apparently, I was very surprised to find this, that has not been the norm. Especially in America, at least, bra makers have made, like, X number of sizes. And if your breast didn't happen to fit that bra, that was on you. There's something wrong with your body. Because these are the standard sizes, and this is what we're selling. And so women have, for a very long time, a lot of women have had bras that just do not fit them because they just can't find them in America. And that's kind of led to this revolution in bra making and also bra sizing that has allowed for women to have much better, much more comfortable fits with bras. And I'm just glad for them.
Come on, I was that slightly early. There's no way this fucking bass has the biggest green window. No fucking way. I'm sorry.
And there's this great quote here.
No fucking way.
A book called Uplift, The Bra in America by Jane Farrell Beck and Colleen Gow. And this sort of really pinpoints the what you're trying to do with the bra and why it's so tough to get
That's beautiful.
great fit and one that really works for everybody. Brasseries, Brassiers must do more than fit a multitude of bodies. They must accommodate the same body as it changes through the monthly cycle and the life cycle. They must provide for movement of the torso and arms in many directions without chafing or binding, without slipping out of position. And as if that were not enough, brassiers must retain their own structure while multiple wearings and launderings must not abrade in contact with clothing, must remain as a rule inconspicuous beneath the outer clothing, while harmonizing with the desired silhouette and must be priced to sell to many customers. It's no wonder that hundreds of attempts have been made to design the ideal breast supporter over the past 140 years.
Yeah.
That says it all.
It really does. It is a lot more complicated than, say, boxer shorts.
Yeah, those are easy.
So there's also a lot of money to be made in it. I saw just the sports bra industry alone is worth like $7 billion a year. There's a lot of money made from bras, and so as a result, about 600 million of them are made every year.
Fuck you, game.
There's about
Fuck you.
26,000 different
Just
bra
fuck
patterns in
you.
existence. When you say 20 different styles, that's like racerback
Fuck
or
you.
demi-cup, like large category of bra. As far as like different patterns and types of bras, there's tens of thousands of them.
Sure.
And each one has
I'm gonna have to do more testing.
parts.
I don't think it's even a get used to it thing, honestly. Like, I'm not fucking up.
And then it takes months and
But
months
it's slightly early on certain animations. Stop. Right there, I tried to adjust and got slightly late.
Of thought and time and effort and money going into bra production. And then from what I've seen, there's virtually an equal amount of time and effort and thought going into purchasing too. From what I'm seeing, it's like not the easiest thing in the world to buy a bra if you want the bra to be one that is your new favorite.
Yeah, did you have any flashbacks of young Josh while you were researching this? Like Sears catalog
in your career
type stuff?
Sure.
you've experienced the
Practicing unhooking
NBA
bras
finals.
by
What
wearing them
is
myself.
the most
Or simply,
surprising part of this
the
whole
80s was a
event?
generally more naive moment in time. Before the
No,
internet,
Nikki,
like,
this is
Oh, yeah.
seeing a lady in a bra leaning against a tree was a pretty big deal
Yes, it
in
really was.
1983. Yeah. Should we take a break and then dive into the history?
Yeah, let's. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, we'll be right back with the history of the brasserie right after this.
I heard it's COVID-19. I'm visiting.
Chuck, it's beaches.
Oh, I saw that in the 80s when it came out, not since then.
I don't think I've seen this since the 80s either, but I guess that
Stuck with you.
that little part really stuck with me, yeah.
So the real first patent for the bra was filed in 1863. Brassiere, the word, it wasn't coined until the 20th century, but that wasn't the first bra. Dave sent us even a photo of this research, which is pretty great, of a Sicilian mosaic called Bikini Girls. If you look up Bikini Girls, well, you're going to get a lot of results, but if you look up Sicilian mosaic Bikini Girls, you will see a mosaic from about 400 to 300 BCE that shows these young athletic women wearing bikinis, clearly wearing what looks like a bra or bikini top.
It's basically exactly what pro beach volleyball players wear today. Like, no joke. It looks exactly like it.
But strapless.
Right, yeah, I think a lot of them wear strapless stuff too. And also very short shorts. Like, even with a butterfly cut, if you look closely, they have that cut on the side. I mean, like, they look exactly like pro volleyball players. And this is 2,400 years ago. So it seems like they were wearing what's called an epidesme or strophium, depending on whether you speak the Greek or the Latin. But it's basically like a cloth wrapped around and then knotted in front to provide support during athletics.
That's right.
Boom.
So medieval times come along. There were European physicians who were writing about something called breast bags. And there was a medical text from 1300. The royal surgeon in France, Henri de Mondeville, said some women insert 2 bags in their dresses, adjusted to the breasts fitting tight, and they put them into them every morning and fasten them when possible with a matching band.
Not a marching band.
No, that's sort of a bra, a built-in bra.
Sure, or a breast bag. So,
Right. Just don't say that ever again.
Okay, agreed. So that's from 1300, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you would think, okay, well, the things kind of started hard and fast from that point on. And as far as history is concerned, no. Like, about 100 years later, the all bra technology was abandoned in favor of the corset. And that's what we thought for a very long time, until there was a discovery in 2008, but it wasn't publicized until I think 2012 or 15, that an archaeologist from the University of Innsbruck
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't even think of a jump shot that sounds good with it, to be honest, because you're gonna need something that's like, you know, out and around, I guess you could say, or something. Like, I don't know. I already know none of these are gonna like. None of them are gonna fucking match up. I don't know. Ugh. Still, I'm fucking tired. And I should save this for fucking later. I haven't really played much today, but that fucking weird ass wreck shit this morning kind of threw me out of whack. But either way, I mean, we're at 17 shooting badges on this guy, 71 overall. He's getting there real quick. It ain't gonna take long at all to get him to 80 where I'd like to start tournament wreck. But it'll be alright. I'll close that stream, see if I can go to sleep again. I doubt it, but if not, I'll be right back.